Welcome to the Blabulation. We've been on hiatus for a little while, and also the platform this show started on doesn't exist anymore. Welcome to the internet. Our guest today is John Chin, jazz musicianist and composer. That's a new word I just made up. And it's pianist and musician. You mix it together. John's been on the show a couple times before, back on the old platform, and has a new album coming out, which I have heard, and it is excellent. John, thanks for coming and hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me.
What's the name of the new album?
It's called Fifth.
And why is it called Fifth?
Oh, well.
Is it too complicated?
It's well on the cover of the record. It's a bunch of stars, and there's this old alchemy age concept of the fifth element. And this idea of being in the ether, and sort of the concept of the quint, five quint, in the word quintessence, and it comes from that idea of having celestial properties and having and kind of referring to being in that zone. I think that most jazz musicians try and achieve of being almost unconscious while playing. It's almost like it has a meditative quality, and you're just kind of in the zone. So it's a referral to sort of this being in this other state of mind, and so that's why the record is named that way, because there are elements of that on the record itself. You know, there are these things where they're just these completely free improvisations, and it just takes you somewhere else.
That's really cool. So would you consider this the most improvised thing you've done?
Actually, yeah. It is an improvised thing. It's a collective effort. It's something that I produced, and so some of the things, that we would talk about was, okay, let's try some free improvisations, or let's try some solo. Just go in the booth and just do your thing. And it's unusual for, I think in my experience, for a musician to be asked to do something like that, to just go in and just run with it, whatever. There's no form. There's just say what you need to say. And so what ended up happening was that these, the tracks are very personal. They're when you listen to them, it's just you and this other musician in the room together. There's no, I don't know. It's an intimate endeavor, for sure. So
cool.
So yeah.
And how long was the recording process for this one?
We recorded this over the course of 2 days, and it wasn't even 2 days. It was like a day and a half. We had gotten most of it. Went in, and the other thing is that I didn't intend for the solo improvisations or the group free improvisations to be such a prominent part of the recording. They were only supposed to be little vignettes that happened
right
in between the songs that we were planning to record, which we still did record. But when I was editing all of the audio, the stuff, the solo improvisations, I felt were the strongest bits that we had recorded, not the stuff that we had prepared. That we rehearsed for.
That's interesting.
So
now, do you think that was that the result of giving musicians that the kind of leeway of like just go in the booth and be you?
Well, I think that everyone in the band is a band leader in their own way, and certainly I think that one of the things about being a jazz musician is that you're sort of automatically a composer. If you're a jazz musician, you write, and arguably you write every time you take a solo. It's just you're writing on the fly.
Right.
So and the other thing about this group of guys, especially. is I feel like they have such strong personalities, and it doesn't surprise me one bit that the solo improvisations were as strong as they turned out to be.
Right.
They're such distinct voices that going in there, I mean, it would be, we'd be in the studio and one guy would go into the booth and record his thing, and then the rest of us are in the control room listening to it. And it was fantastic. It's not like there was conversation going on in the control booth as it was being recorded. We were all completely riveted by what each musician was playing. So.
This is my co-host Mike that's dropping by and putting his tail in the shot, which he likes to do. I don't know how he finds like the exact spot, but he often does. Mike, go over here. Go over here. Over here. Thanks, man. Very cool. Well, if you'd be up for it, can you play us a little song, and I'll chat with the folks in the comment section as I disappear. What would you like to play?
Well, man. Normally when I live stream, I start with something standard, usually peppy. But here we are in the midst of talking about this sort of very introspective record, and
you can play anything you want, whatever you want.
Let's try. Let's try. I'll do. I'll try something. Maybe I'll see if I can improvise something.
All right, cool. And I'll be right back. Enjoy John Chin, everyone. John Chin, everyone. Well done, sir. Thank you. I think we're going to have to play with the audio a little bit, just because I think the noise cancellation on the laptop was, when you were getting quieter, it was getting louder, and then when it got louder, it would cut it off a tiny little bit. So, not optimal, but still completely listenable. And compliments from Tammy and Vanessa and Colleen Costello is also joining us, and a few other people on Facebook. So thank you very much for listening. And there's applause coming. Colleen's applauding too, so you can't hear that. It's hard. You have to read the word applause, and it didn't. Yeah, Colleen, we're also on Facebook. If you check my my wall, it will be there. Anybody who's just joining us, we're hanging out with John Chin, who's going to be playing us some music, and he also has a new album coming by. Oh, Carl Lindmark's also here over on the Facebook. Thanks for dropping by. John, I've seen John live in Los Angeles, which is always a great thing. You're playing a lot in New York coming up?
I am. I'm playing in New York right now. I'm performing at a jazz club here in New York City called the Jazz Standard, which is one of the great jazz clubs, one of the premier jazz clubs here in New York. I'm performing with this incredible vocalist, Renee Marie. We're here. We're playing until Sunday, and this is our little run just before we head off across the Atlantic. We're going over to Spain.
Wow.
And, to Paris. And yeah, I'll be out for a couple of weeks performing with her on the road. So tell your friends, if I think the stops are Barcelona, Madrid, and Paris. So.
And John, if you could speak just a tiny little bit louder, Colleen's saying it's hard to hear you.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe
no
I
problem.
Should get a little closer.
Closer to your mic. That sounds like fun.
I can't wait. It's going to be great. I think the challenges are going to be laundry. I think that's going to be the hard.
That is.
I think so.
Laundry and dry cleaning on the road is always.
I can't pack 2 weeks of clothes. I mean, that's not really happening. So, I don't know. I think I'll be Googling laundromats pretty much.
That's hilarious. And so for those who are interested in checking out the album, when will they be able to do that?
Oh, yeah. The new album is going to be released on November 18th, which is coming up. There is a Bandcamp pre-order available right now. You can also, I think there's a PayPal something that's out there, and also the pre-order on iTunes will be coming soon. The thing about I should mention though on the Bandcamp and the iTunes order, there are tracks on those releases that you won't be able to find anywhere else. They're sort of these bonus tracks on those platforms.
So if you get the CD, you're getting.
If you get the CD off of my Bandcamp site, which is the only place that it's available, you'll have these bonus things. And so some of the bonus tracks that we have include some more solo improvisations that didn't make it to the final cut of the CD. Not because they didn't have the quality of making the cut, but here's the thing about the CD also, is that along with the CD carries a narrative of sorts. It starts sort of in space, and it moves along progressively. And, hopefully someday we'll be able to put out a film, to that record. And, we'll see. Hopefully that'll happen. But keep in mind, if you do happen to pick it up, that you're following the story. There's definitely something there for you to hold on to.
So I guess in terms of, Mike, what the hell are you doing, man? For some reason, my desk is the most interesting place right now. Full apartment to look at. The story that happens, I guess, with the album without the bonus track. So if you got the actual physical CD versus getting the iTunes album, how would you say that the story is different between the two?
Story different? You mean without the bonus tracks? Or
yeah, like if I listen to it with listen to the CD versus listening to all the bonus tracks, how do you feel it changes the story of that's being told with the music?
Oh well, I
I think that there is one solo improvisation outtake that is not included.
Mm-hmm.
There, and then there are several piano variations, and I think like, you know, it was sort of an artistic edit that we made because I didn't want to have the CD to sort of overwhelmingly be dominated by all of this piano on it, because there's quite a bit of it, and so really those tracks that's half a record, with those piano tracks alone, that are now bonus tracks. So so I think just to keep it's just an editorial kind of call that we made in terms of that program, so that it was something easier to latch onto.
And you can only fit so much live music on a
Yes,
CD
that's
or
right.
any music.
That's
period.
That's for sure.
And then it changes based on what the sampling rate is and all that stuff. It's crazy.
That's right. All of that. It's all of those things. That's right.
Very, very cool. Colleen saying she's asking me, is this the album? Yeah, I did make one video for one of the tracks off the new album, which will come out soon, and it definitely has a meditative quality to it. And that'll be out soonish. But it's the only time I think it's the only time I've made a video where I didn't shoot anything, that it's all stock footage from for this one. It's actually a bunch of different space launches, and like throughout the 60s, I think into the 70s.
Oh, really?
I believe so. I think there's one shot that's the 70s. I could be wrong. Okay. But it, for anybody who's looking for, and also comes up on the album cover, because we were talking months ago when the album was still in the works, and you had to call NASA to find out. Yeah. No one expects this story to come up during. That's why I want to bring it up.
Yeah.
Why does the jazz musician have to call NASA?
Right. Well, the album cover is a picture from NASA. It's I think it's artist's rendition of this huge black hole that they had found, and I had come across this image somewhere, and I thought it was the coolest. I thought it was the coolest picture ever. So a friend of mine and I sort of like researching. It's like, I wonder if we can use this image. Is it possible? And so we emailed NASA. We found out it was NASA. We didn't know, and they promptly wrote us back. And I think it basically comes down to, it's our tax dollars that paid for the image. It's ours to use, right. And we just have to give them credit, which of course we did. And
that's very easy to do. NASA did it.
Exactly.
Done. Next.
Exactly. So.
And Mike Hines in the comments said, "Why do the jazz musicians have to call NASA? Because their music is out of this world." Oh, that's why. It's in space. So I guess in terms of like you personally, have you had a thing with space?
Or
do you have a thing with space?
Well, I have a thing with space. I don't.
Do you have a space? Do you like to watch space shuttles? Are you a NASA fan? Are you they've been live streaming from the International Space Station.
I saw that. That was amazing.
Like 24. I don't know how many hours. Like 20 hours of streaming. Yeah, because I shared it, and then I kept seeing it being liked, and every time I would go back to the post, it was still live, so it was at least 12, 15 hours at least.
I don't know what kind of cell towers they have up there.
Really good ones.
Really good ones. That picture was exactly clear. And
so, were you into like sci-fi or?
Yeah, of course.
So, do you think that's what got you into space?
I don't know. I wanted to be. I don't know what kid doesn't want to be an astronaut when they're a kid. Really.
I don't know if kids want to be astronauts now.
No.
I don't know because it's like the space shuttle program's kind of shut down, and maybe they want to go work for SpaceX. Maybe they want to go work for Elon Musk.
I mean, just like watching Star Wars as a kid, like that's kind of it, you know, and
Right.
get into it, and then there are this like one of my favorite toys as a kid was like my Legos that was supposed to be a spaceship. I mean, that was just kind of the
Right.
thing.
And Colleen Costello is saying her sister works at NASA, so we have a connection.
Oh,
and also her sister's job is the International Space Station Trajectory and Landing Surface offer when they come back. That's her sister's job. So this show's already getting interesting.
Oh.
Colleen, we're gonna have your sister on sometime. So so when you, I guess, did space come like as you were making music, after you made the music? Was it before you were making the music, in terms of it being, you know, an idea, using the album cover, all that? Did the space come before the chicken, or chicken come before space?
The chicken definitely came in before space. I mean, we went in there. We were doing a regular gig here in New York City at Smalls Jazz Club. We were playing every week. Our performances would be about 1 a.m. on a Monday night. And,
wow.
And so it would be mostly musicians in the crowd. Some tour.
I've done those shows as stand-up.
Yeah.
When the only people in the room were stand-ups. Right. Yep.
And it was kind of a workshop for us. We became extremely tight, and things were just clicking. And you know, I mean, that's when I knew we had to record. We had to record. I wasn't going to let this sort of thing, this magical thing happening just kind of go by and disappear. And I knew I had to document it. And so we were able to build a little bit of a following. People knew the songs that we were performing because we had a pretty distinct repertoire that we would play. And so it was like, okay, guys, let's go into the studio. I'm booking the studio. We're going in. Let's just do what we do. You know, we'll do it. And so we were talking about different ideas on conceptualizing the record itself. And one of the things that we had sort of talked about, that there was an electronic element that we had been talking about, which is included. But we're generally an acoustic jazz band, sort of very traditional acoustic jazz band. But there's this electronic element. Our bassist, Spencer Murphy, is sort of very much well-versed in many other styles of music, old R&B and Prince and a lot of current stuff that's even, I mean, I'm sure he knows about stuff that's way too cool for me, you know, to even know about. But we talked about, you know, these solo improvisations. Now, we never performed these solo improvisations. That wasn't part of our act. But it was an idea that we had in terms of the recording project to be able to sort of stick in these little improvisations in between tracks. And so, like I said, you know, I listened to those improvisations. And they were only supposed to be 10, 15 seconds long. Mm-hmm. But I tried to trim them down. I didn't know where to trim them down. I had no idea. And I just said, you know what, forget it. I'm gonna keep these as is. I'm gonna in their entirety, stick them in there, and then that was sort of the basis of the record. And so coming out of that, you know, and one of the hardest things for me to do is I have a really tough time naming tunes. Mm-hmm. And the idea of trying to name an album or a band is impossible. It was impossible. And it'd been going on for some time. But then when I came upon this concept of the quintessence, you know, here we are, a quintet, there are 5 of us. And then coming across this concept, it made perfect sense. It all seemed to align on its own with this ethereal quality that the improvisations have, and the concept of sort of being in this space where you know, I guess a mental space that you really want to be in when you're improvising. Sort of, it's almost
I mean, to me, I don't know why I'm freaking out. I don't know why the I don't know why my sound is coming back. I'm waiting for something to cancel out. The idea of starting, I guess, in what is just a bunch of musicians playing and then creating whatever gets created, and then to take that energy and just get mics involved and record it is such a great idea and a great way to, and I guess if you want to think about space, you are kind of bringing a bunch of celestial bodies with instruments together to create something that wasn't there before. But such a cool idea to not kind of like, okay, we're going to record an album. Okay, here's what we're recording. Okay, come on. All right, we're playing this. It has to affect the end result, the recording.
There was, you know, I mean, I don't know where the guys were coming from. I mean, the process of producing a CD, you know, you don't just show up and do it. I wish it was just show up and play, but there's so much preparation that goes, you know, into doing that. We had, from our little gig that we had, we saved all of our money and put all of our money together to make this record. We didn't make any money off the gig. Not that there was so much money to be made in the first place.
Right.
And it did take us a long time.
The Monday 1 a.m. jazz shows are perhaps not as sold out as one might think.
Right. And so, you know, all of it is a labor of love. You know, the gig is a labor of love. The CD definitely is a labor of love, you know. And
but I feel like that has to affect what you make when you're working in that circumstance. Like it's a little more peer-to-peer than it is like band leader.
Definitely. I mean, we talked about everything. I mean, I'm only taking the role of, you know, leader on this because I'm organizing everything, you know, and that's kind of it. I mean, I brought in a bunch of tunes, so my, you know, a bunch of my tunes did end up making, you know, are on the record, but I'm certainly not the only composer on the record. But you know, the putting all of your money together and sort of being this collective, I think there's really something special, especially from a group of people that are, you know, we're, like I said, we're all band leaders. So the idea of having this be a true collective, you know, I mean, I think it was certainly the case on the gig that we had. And so I'm trying to push this out, and it's really documentation of that time. But it's also, you know, it's also an art project for us, trying to really make statements with where we're playing. I mean, if we were to do this again now, it would be a completely different record, for sure.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
I would imagine.
So maybe sequel? I don't know. We'll see.
So I guess how long were you guys playing live together before you were like, okay, let's record. We got to record this.
I'm gonna say almost a year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
See that's the thing, is there is no way to say, hey, you guys want to get together for a year and play, and then we'll record an album? Like no one would ever say, yeah, sure, a year, yeah, let's do that.
You're so right. You're so right. I mean, there's no way that could have happened. And so that's another thing that made it so special. I knew I had to document this. We were doing this every week, and some. And of course, we had other performances that came out of, you know, our late night gig, and everyone was, you know, working and doing all these other things. And so, and actually, the band in its current state, we couldn't do it now. I mean,
trying to get everybody back together.
I mean, everyone. Two of the guys in the band are on the road constantly. They're not even kind of in New York anymore, I dare say. And myself, I'm on the road. I'm in and out. And guys, just we're on to bigger and brighter things now. So where, you know, you come in and you make your measly dollars on a late night Monday night gig every week for a year, it couldn't happen today. It just couldn't.
Right. That is really cool. But it's also fantastic that you recognized the opportunity and headed it up to create this, because otherwise it would have just been in the memories. I mean, it's the one thing about jazz that when it's live, it is in front of you, you're in the room with it. It is a completely different experience than when you're listening to it, especially at this point in history where most people are doing something else while they're listening to music. Not that you can't be on your phone at the show, but it tends to take up the whole area. So to have the live experience that as much as you possibly can capture in a recording, I think sounds great. And also Colleen Costello says better music comes from loving making it, or the best music, actually. That is very, very cool. And Colleen's asked, I have heard the whole record. Yes, it is excellent. So John, would you like to play us another tune and, I don't know, move the laptop a tiny little bit closer and play loud? I don't know. I'm trying to find the perfect music recording setup.
Let's see how
But because the sound's not bad when you're close.
let's see. The other thing that I'm not good at is figuring out what I'm doing. Okay, all right, I got it.
All right, I'll meet you back here.
Got it. Okay, I'm gonna open this.
John Chin, everybody. Thank you very much. That was fantastic. And lots of comments coming in while you're playing. Colleen was saying, wow, this is bluesy, down-home, willful, longing kind of sultry jazz. Love it. And my mom said, very nice. She's watching on Facebook.
Amazing.
So, hi, Mrs. Will. Oh, at least I think she is. She was. She left a comment. Oh, and Paul said his cat woke up and sat up to listen. So there you go. That's you're hitting multiple species.
Very good.
That was great. So if because Colleen is not too far from New York, if Colleen wanted to see you live with Renee, right, this weekend,
that's right.
Where would she go?
She would go to the Jazz Standard.
Okay.
I think that.
And what time's the show? Do you know?
I think the shows are at 7:30 and 9:30.
Okay.
Our first night, was maybe close sold out, if not close to sold out. So give them a call or
okay.
Look up Jazz Standard NYC, and you could find their website and make a reservation and go check it out. And I'll be there. Renee will be there, and I'll be there to sign CDs, and so will Renee.
Very cool. And I've seen John perform with Renee at Lincoln Center, thanks to Lincoln Center's free live streaming thing. Google that, because they stream 1 billion shows. I mean, it's really amazing how, and these are, multiple camera switching, like it looks like you're watching a jazz show on PBS. I mean, it looks fantastic, and it's live. And and Colleen already has the site open, so she's checking. Very cool. Oh. Yeah, Colleen, you will not be disappointed. It is like I knew nothing about Renee prior to knowing you, and I'm glad I got her live. She's got an interesting energy about her that is not the norm, at least in what I see.
Vocalist, she is kind of, which is a rarity for a jazz musician in general, is how much of an incredible storyteller she is when she sings her songs. It really is compelling. I think people that may not otherwise be into jazz would be into Renee, just because she can just give it to you, and it's like this emotional roller coaster that you can be on. I mean, you laugh, you cry. I mean, really, you laugh, you cry, the whole thing. It's really special.
Definitely, I would highly recommend checking it out. It was fantastic on a laptop, so it's got to be great live. Gotta be. The seats probably be more comfortable. Oh, maybe. So interesting when you talk about Renee when she's performing songs. I always like when actors do theater, they're doing the same thing live over and over and over again, and they have to get into kind of a mindset. For music, for jazz, when you, I guess, before a show or while you're playing, how does your mindset change from the rest of the day? And when you are playing your stuff or someone else's stuff, how does storytelling on a piano happen?
Well, I think that the first thing that comes to mind when I think about storytelling is, well, I mean, the most obvious thing is how do you build the set? Where do you start? Do you start with something small and light? Do you go in on a big powerhouse, and the same thing in how it ends? And so I think as a performer, you definitely want to think about these things so that you can keep the audience compelled. As far as mindset going into the set, when you're performing on a big stage or a little stage for that matter, everything, in a way, everything's thrown up. When I remember one time I was traveling to Europe, and the travel day was also a performance day, which is so brutal.
Right.
Because you end up being up for over 24 hours.
Oh yeah.
Having to do that, and I remember coming in and our performance was at 8, and it was made. I don't know. We were traveling. It was like 2 planes and a train and then a car. You know, getting to
right.
It was completely. I was just destroyed. And when it was time to go on, I was completely blitzed and I didn't know. And then suddenly I sat and I just could have fallen asleep for 10 hours at any moment. And then we get on stage, the lights are on, they make the announcement, and it's go time. And you don't feel the fatigue. It completely melts. It's time to go. And I would say it's like that every time, especially with Renee. She puts 1,000% of herself into the show. So, in the green room, we're sitting, we're chatting, we're hanging out, and it's pretty casual. But I would say, when we hit the stage, it's all business. And
that's really cool.
It's that thing. It's this record. It's this quintessence. It's like this otherworldly energy that enters into the consciousness going into it. So, and I never understood that, being a music student or just a regular person, kind of thinking about like, oh, that music's nice, whatever. Oh, that concept. So, or it's changed my perception of, even superstars, and thinking, it's so easy for them. Oh, they have so much money. Oh, they can do anything they want. But I wish it were that simple. But I know that it's not. It takes preparation and effort to get up there and really perform and to have a.
And all of that has to be there and has to be happening before any kind of success can happen. And I think that's the difficulty for any creative human being doing anything, is that you sort of, it's not necessarily faking it until you make it, but you have to, you can't just learn a craft and then go, hi, I'm here to do the craft. It has to be like in your DNA and in your eyeballs and everywhere. And I think that's the thing with creativity in music, is that especially when you're recording it, we get a feel for what was happening, in the studio or during the live show. But again, being in the room's always it's always different. But I think that's also the mindset of, after, when you're playing with Renee and running on no sleep, and that adrenaline or whatever hits you. I think that's the cool thing about a live audience, that there's an exchange of energy that happens that can't happen in any other circumstance.
I mean, I only wish that we could afford to fly business class. That's the only thing. If I could get a few hours of sleep on that plane, on a day. And again, that was another thing where I didn't understand why, first class. I thought first class was just for high fluid people or just business, and it is. But there's a reason. I didn't understand that. I didn't understand that. Oh, you can sleep on the plane because you might have to go to work. After you.
Right.
That's a real, and not that.
It's almost like you're renting a mini hotel room to take a nap for a few hours.
Exactly. So I look forward to, hopefully that day will happen, that we're able to fly a business class and be able to really be prepared for that performance. But yeah, it's the best thing. I mean, first of all, don't get me wrong, it's a privilege at any level. Our Monday night gig that we did for $3, or whatever the hell.
Right.
It is still a privilege to be able to perform and present this stuff. There's, even though you put everything into preparation and learning and thousands of dollars into your education,
and just no one seems to think about how long does it take to get to the point where you can do this, let alone you get a gig doing it.
Right.
That's the thing that it seems like, because I live in LA, I've seen lots of people showing up to get rich, And then when it's not happening fast enough, they quit because that's why they came.
Right.
And not saying that, lots of talented people come out here for the wrong reasons and the right reasons, and lots of talented people who are just not people you want to work with. But you still have to have all the abilities before anything can happen. And I think it's hard to keep that in mind.
I mean, I spent many years in school, and I think once I finished my formal studies, college and grad school and all that, I think it was only it took 10 years after I finished school did I feel like, oh, I can do this. It wasn't when I graduated. It certainly was not when I graduated. Those opportunities didn't even necessarily present themselves to me when I graduated. But I didn't feel like I could play. That was the thing. And it takes real world experience. Whereas I know people, which is crazy to me, they'll get a university job right out of school. I'm like, well, how is that? How does that work exactly? That's incredible to me. I mean, you must be a genius.
Right.
You are.
Right. And it also just having gone to art school. Also, I and thought about getting a master's and teaching. I thought, well, what? So is this the machine? Is this the? So you go to art school to become an art teacher to teach art to more art students who become art teachers? Like, I don't like it. Didn't seem to me to be. I understand all the creative stuff. It's hard to make a living and pay the bills, and always will be. And that's the deal if you want to live this kind of life. And the university job is the regular paycheck. And it's. I'm not saying it's like working at a factory, but the paycheck is like working at a factory, and because you can count on it.
That's right. That's right. Or you could join the army. Actually.
Exactly. They have bands.
I met a guy recently that had just made it. He did his 20 years, and now he has a pension. And he's in his 40s now, right. And he has this super solid pension coming into him. And he was in the Army as a musician. You can be a musician in the armed forces. You can join a band. You can and you have a regular paycheck. You can buy a house. You can get married. You can have the kids. You can do the whole thing. And then in 20 years, by the time you're, I don't know, as young as me, 38, presumably, right? If you're into the, and then you're set. And I thought it was amazing. It was really a privilege, I think, to talk to that guy. I was really excited for him because he had gotten out and he had done all of the sort of life things. He had gotten it all out. And now he was ready to just sort of get out there and play and make records and make something. I was really excited for him. He had just moved to New York with his wife. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. This is totally awesome.
Yeah, but there's still that whole 20 years of working the job.
Yeah.
And also the reality of, at 18 years in, you get hit by a bus. And you've been riding that. I just got to get to that 20-year mark so I can get that. Also, just to let you know, some Meerkat class of 2015 people are watching. Betsy Soto, Clifton Madison, Tammy, Tachi, all folks that you may have tripped over back in the day on the now defunct Meerkat. And Blab. Oh, and also Paul says, my best friend John was in the band in the Army. He played for Reagan. There you go. Yeah, it's a real, well, there's always bands. Somebody's got to organize that. There's got to be music played. And you can't just like call up a bass and go, I need trumpet players. Who do you got? It's just not going to work.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's
Oh, and Jamie Aria from up in the Canada. Oh, and Melissa Reyes. Wow, the whole class, Meerkat class of 2015 hanging out. Very nice to see you guys. Thanks for dropping by.
I miss those days.
I kind of do too, but especially hearing yesterday about Vine being shut down by Twitter, and having Blab gone away, Meerkat gone away, I really am finding that that we're the platforms and that all this stuff goes away, but it's but we can all can stay connected through all these other platforms, and that the idea that we're all, you know, we can't find each other because Meerkat shut down. Shut up. What are you talking about? And like, when I could see Blab was going away, I'm like, we got to find something quick, because I can smell this thing is going down. And wow, was I right? And didn't want to be right. Really didn't. It was free, so we're coming up. We got 10 minutes. So let's get another tunage in for all the class of 2015 Meerkat graduates, and then we'll wrap it up. And you got a gig coming up in a few hours.
I do. Okay. Oh man, I don't know why I didn't come up with tunes. Why did I?
Oh, no worries. I'll leave it up to you.
Okay.
Something that'll remind you of Meerkat.
Something that'll remind me of Meerkat. Oh, okay. I've got it.
Cool.
I've got it. All right. I think I used to pick this one when I did Meerkat. Meerkat was a good time. All right, so let's try it.
John Chin, everybody. John Chin, well done, sir. And it was funny because, well, two things. Paul Harkins said his grandfather played piano in bars in Chicago in the 50s, 60s, and 70s and played this a lot, including at the Top Hat. And Tammy would say, I'm going to cry. It's bittersweet. Meerkat love. Because everybody's like having Meerkat nostalgia.
No. No.
Which is fantastic. But keep in mind, everybody's watching, I met John on Meerkat, and then when he was in town, saw him live. We hung out a couple times. Mara Steffi, his gal pal, let's say, is also a singer and was in the studio here not too long ago working on her new album. So all the, don't worry about all the platform dying stuff. You know, Blab died, Meerkat died. Yeah. We're still chatting. It's yeah. We will not be stopped by some platform.
That's right.
Oh, and Mary Lynn from Illinois is saying, beautiful and love it. Excellent. Very, very cool. Most awesome, John, coming from Tammy. Very nice. And this has been fun too. Just hanging out with you.
I love it. I love having these chats with you. You know, I mean, it's
so cool.
It's like getting to play and talk about, you know, the state of things. And I always learn so much from you, actually. You're always telling me about the
oh, yeah. I'm always telling you way too many things that you could do.
I love it though. It's like, it's so inspiring though, because you'll sort of give me this idea. It's like, oh, I can do that. I can do so, oh my God, I'm gonna do none of, you know, and so that
right. I have to start a social media consultancy business.
I think it's great
interns. For creatives, maybe just for people who are not trying to sell a webinar on how to be a multi-level marketer. Like what? Just one level, you and everybody else. So let's, if people want to grab the album that is not available yet, do a pre-order. They can pre-order it on iTunes now, yes?
They can order on Bandcamp.
Bandcamp?
johnchin.bandcamp.com.
Okay.
There's also, I don't know what we did with, did we do anything with the PayPal stuff? You can, you can push, you can find out about it. I don't know, how can they find that?
If I'll put the John's PayPal whatchamacallit, URL if you want to pre-order it directly. So that'll be for a signed one, correct?
Yes. There's going to be a limited number of signed copies that'll come out, and you know, I'll even make a little video of me signing it right to you.
Oh wow! Oh, that's great. So if you would like. So I'm going to put that in. So how much to get a signed CD via PayPal?
The CDs signed are $20, and you can get just a CD on its own, I think, for $12. And
okay.
And then of course there's the download, which I think it's $10, something like that. But having a signed copy, you know, what's really awesome about having a signed copy, at least for me, is that when I'm at the merch table at the end of the show, I meet these people, I talk to these people,
right,
and I'll sign them, and I'll be able to really sort of give. It's really personal. It's like I can really give a piece of myself. And it's like, here, this is something that I did that, you know, I spent all of my money on this. I spent more money than I have on this. You know, this is my offering, essentially. You know, like you're giving me money for this, but really on my end of things, it's not about the money. It's like I've already put literally thousands of dollars into this thing, and here you go. You know, this is from me. This is signed. It's just kind of a special thing for me to be able to sign them for people.
Very cool. Very cool. I agree. And it's also nice when your internet's down, you can still listen to music.
That's right. That's right.
I was doing the Song Request Cage Match show on Wednesday. My internet went down in the middle of the show. So it was really can't do that show without internet. Really, the music's internet, everything's internet. You're screwed without it.
I know.
John Shin, thank you very much for spending time with us. This was great.
Thanks, Joe.
And have fun on this weekend and on the road in Europe. What countries are you hitting?
What I'm hitting Spain and France.
Wow.
And then I'll be if I have an internet connection, I'll be broadcasting those via Facebook and Periscope. So you know, if you can find me there, then and I think I'm going to try and broadcast some of the show from the piano tonight.
Very cool, very cool.
I checked the internet with the standard and.
Yeah, and you can follow John Chin's John K Chin on the Twitter, and you will find his periscoping and other things there, and also on the Facebook official page. I'll throw that link in, and have fun this weekend. And I'll try to catch your show tonight on the piano if you can. All right, thanks, John. Thanks everybody who's watching. Really appreciate it. Bye bye.